tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads from over 200 countries and your number one source in after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
And for one last time, welcome everybody. This is the end.
I don't like hearing that.
But before we end, we got to keep the conversation going. Welcome everybody. This is True Blood Season 7, Episode 10. Thank you. Hi guys, I'm JC, and let us wrap around the table and introduce our wonderful panel of hosts, starting with the lovely lady to my right.
Hi guys, this is Sarah. I'm like getting emotional already. This is gonna be a problem.
And across the table.
Hey guys, it's Kristin.
Hey everyone, Scott Moore.
And of course, AFTERBUZZ Nation, this is a very special show, of course, because we have an extremely special guest here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Miss Bailey Noble. Thank you so much.
Hi.
And of course, running the ones and twos. Who do we have back there tonight?
Welcome.
What up, Phil?
He finally said something. He's always very quiet for moments like this. Yeah, so this has got to be a special night. So first off, besides the thank you, we're all an emotional wreck right now.
I am especially.
And AFTERBUZZ Nation, hello guys. I hope you've been in this journey with us for so long. I'm actually at a loss for words. So let us start with our overall thoughts. Thoughts of tonight and what we've just seen and experienced the last few years of our lives. Because I told you before we opened the show, I remember the first episode of True Blood. I went to a Blockbuster, and it was a free copy of True Blood. They said, check out this new vampire series. I rented it. I loved it. And now to be here, so much has happened. So many Eric Northman haircuts. I just... Thank you, and thank you HBO, thank you Alan Ball, thank you everyone. So it's as a fan, I loved every moment to the very end.
Yeah, what an amazing title. I mean, what else can you say but thank you?
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody that's experienced this can say thank you. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
In so many ways. I know. I kept looking over. Sorry, and I saw just how intent you were.
So if you saw JC staring at you during the screening.
That's just what I'm saying. Yeah. You know? So overall thoughts. What did you guys feel tonight?
Anybody else in denial? Like I just feel like it's the end of the season, and then I'm kind of like, oh, next summer I'm gonna be all good, and I'm not. I think I'm gonna freak out later.
Did you expect like a pool of blood to perhaps like Billith to come back one last time? I don't know. I was thinking. I was like, maybe he's gonna come back.
I thought they'd do maybe more flashbacks, and I really thought Sookie was gonna lose her powers, and then we had talked about the end of her being like maybe back at not Merlot's but Bellefleur's and being like, what are you? I'm Sookie Stackhouse. I'm a waitress. I was kind of convinced last night that's what was going down.
Right. Yeah, I kind of agree with you because there were so many, and we've been talking about this all season. Obviously, there were so many different ways that the show could have ended. And for me, I actually, just digesting it now, I do like the fact that because they didn't have enough time to cover everything, I like the fact the way they had that very last shot with everybody together, the family back together at Thanksgiving, and you could see what had happened and what had transpired over the past couple of years. And I think that was the best way to finish it up. I don't agree with everything that happened throughout the episode, but for the most part, I do like the way they wrapped it up for us and let us see how everyone turns out here.
Okay,
well, that was a really nice way to do it. And
we'll get into it. And of course, if you guys are watching this live, Phil, you have to pan, and Bailey, I gotta do this because you said you're wearing the shirt.
Yes!
The Merlot's Bar and Grill t-shirt.
It's the last call.
You gotta show the back, yes. Look at that, the last call.
Last call at Merlot's. So
anybody listening, she's got a shot glass in the front, and then on the back it says last call.
The very last call.
Oh.
All right, so if I want to stretch this out because it's like... Okay, I read a lot of spoilers which were wrong all season long.
This is why I stay away from it. I don't read anything.
They said, well, in a sense, that Sookie was going to shoot that last fireball and that it was going to end up just turning Bill into a human.
Which again,
It's
sort of
creative.
it is, because we were talking about this right before
How
we
he
came
was
on, is that I
becoming
kind of
more
thought that.
human and
Right, she could hear him, and I
Yeah.
was thinking, oh, he's becoming more human. Maybe this Hep B thing is vampires kind of reverting back to being humans, and it was I had all these weird theories going on in my head as we were
Especially
watching the show.
because she was fairy.
Mhm.
She
I
was
thought
fae,
she was
so
going to be able
maybe
to like
that's
somehow
why.
kill the vampire part of him and the human part of him would survive. I don't know. I'm still in like the awkward stage of like, I don't know how I feel. Like,
Okay.
like we got it, everyone's like saying their things, and I'm like, my heart's just like, I'm like, I feel like I have to like talk through it because I don't know.
We're also therapy here at AFTERBUZZ,
Yeah.
so you can talk it out.
So
And
Sarah, what happened in your
Yes.
childhood
And how
that
do
would
you-
make you feel this
know.
way?
And how do you feel about that way that you felt?
No, it's just like, I think that, as you said, like, we're also thankful for the show, and it's like been such a fun ride that I put so many expectations on the finale, and I was like, oh, they never live up to the expectations. Like, I thought it was gonna be like when you go to like a sequel movie and you want it to do better than the first, and then it doesn't. And now I'm like, I think they did it. I think so. I think I'm good. I think I can check myself out and be like, okay, I can rewatch that and be happy. But I'm like not sure. Like, I can't commit to that answer yet. I feel like I need to like rewatch and absorb.
I think the
and
thing
talk about it.
True Blood did throughout the years more than anything is, I know there were some storylines that people agreed and disagreed on. We had a lot of comments on YouTube and a couple on iTunes that were like, how can you have liked this in the past and that and whatever. But I think the thing that True Blood did the best at and what kept us going is the characters and the actors. Honestly, like, you guys, the casting directors, just amazing jobs at casting everybody, because I felt a connection to each character more than anything. And like, for me personally, that's what I fell in love with, was all the people in the show.
well, Bailey, this could be the perfect opportunity to ask you. So, how did it happen for you? How were you cast on the show?
Oh my gosh, it was a crazy process for me. I auditioned in December 2 years ago, and they called me the night that I went in and said, you're on hold for it. And then I hadn't heard anything back until about February, and they said, you for sure have a guest spot on the show, but we don't know what's happening after that. And then I found out about my sisters, and then we all kind of had to re-audition to see who would become recurring. So I didn't know for a long time, and then I was driving on my way to the first table read of my first episode, and they said, you're going to be staying.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So you were on hold for 2 months.
Basically, I had to go through all holiday break, and I was like, I think I have this job, but I don't know.
And you do talk about that in our spotlight on as well. A wonderful job with Jillian Laugh just about
that was so fun.
a few weeks ago, and I realized you also want to be like an action star, so we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think that would be really fun.
We'll get into that. So while Sarah sorts her feelings out, let us start with the episode with the open of Bill and Sookie's. What did you get out of that first talk and that open? Because there was one thing that really stood out for me, and it was Bill giving the true context of what life is.
And it kind of, we talked about why they did all those flashbacks, and that was all. At least there was a reason for it.
Okay, so now we're also you've said yourself, we talk about what the fans talk about. Now, the fans always said that Bill did so many things throughout his arc that were somewhat unforgivable. Did this finally? Can we forgive him?
If I thought about it too much, I don't think I could, but I did. I was sad when he died. Like, I was sitting there getting verklempt, sitting there and then I was like, wait, he was a terrible person for 2 seasons. And then it was like, but I am sad he's dying. And I'm like, what is going on? There's too many emotions. But I was sitting there kind of like, I can't figure out what I'm feeling, but I think I'm sad.
They're toying with your emotions.
They were.
But they did
Because
it the
you know
right
what? They're
way.
so cute together
Right.
on top of it. And they have such good chemistry when they're in scenes, even when Bill's a jerk. That when they do those scenes and that music too, the Bill and Sookie music.
their theme music every time it
Music
comes
gets
on.
me every time. Like Dragonheart, like that kind of, like any kind of background music can like really get you.
It really does. But I kind of agree with what you're saying too, and I felt like I forgave him, but also it's sort of that thing of like giving him the opportunity to have that second chance, because he was trying to make amends, and it wasn't fake. It was genuine. So,
but isn't
the
arc of a the arc of a human? No, but in our life we do make mistakes, and ultimately it is redemption and forgiveness. So. Exactly. Are the writers asking us, forgive him? He's not perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
100%.
Can't we forgive?
That was their whole campaign this season, basically, was to get
forgive Bill.
us to forgive Bill.
But did anyone have any trouble with that scene where he asked for the ultimate kindness? To put Sookie in that position.
Oh, I had a couple, that was one of my first issues. That was one of them. Because again,
Bailey's right there.
Yeah, no, because I feel like that it was you're almost seeing this kind of selfish side. Of course, we've seen it with Sookie too, about her having a selfish side, but I saw a lot of selfish sides with Bill this episode too. It's like, ultimate kindness. I want to see Jess get married. It's like all these things that I felt kind of were.
See, I was fine with the Jess get married selfish thing because I felt like that's very much like we all know that they were ending up together, and it didn't feel like too forced. And he made that. Like, it was forced, but not in the way that I was like, oh, they're not going to end up together anyway. So, like, we knew they were going to get married, so I was okay with it. But I will give it to you that I think it was very selfish for him to ask Sookie to give up her light when he's going to die anyway.
Right.
It's not like he's sitting in this sickness for forever. Why are you handing?
But he also does know. He does know that Sookie's been back and forth so many times about whether she wanted to give up being a fairy or not. So in a way, it was almost maybe like he was giving her a gift, like. You can help me with your light and then go on to live the life that you dreamt of. The normal human life.
Which he did say, he's like, set us both free. And I get it, but it still came across too much of his own control and his own way.
And it's not like she had to kill a vampire to get rid of it. Yeah. She just had to get rid of it. It wasn't like you have a time stamp on when you have to do this.
But it also was really beautiful because we got to see Sookie become her own person and say, no, this is who I am, which is really beautiful because... anybody can relate to that, and I think it's such a great parallel.
I was rooting for that moment. We're gonna get that.
Yes,
that was the greatest moment for me for this episode was when she didn't shoot her ultimate kindness. But before that, I want to say that Bill, being the Southern gentleman that he is, the reason he's a protector. And he said if she gives up her light, he said vampires will be chasing her. They'll be lining up around the corner or the door just to go after Sookie. It's him being protective. It's his old Southern charm, the gentleman. Remember, he's the Southern gentleman, Bill.
But it's still her choice, though. That's the problem.
He wasn't telling her to do it, but he was asking.
Well,
I'm not saying it's wrong or right.
I'm on Scott's side.
Okay. And they love each other. Right. And they love each other. You do crazy things for people that you love.
Love, yes. And he was dying. I would imagine you do crazy things when you're dying. That's what I'm just saying. So let's move on. Speaking of dying, Mr. Gus. What happened?
Quickly, like,
I know.
Shouldn't they have done that, like, I don't know, a couple episodes ago?
What did they even have to bother string that out?
I'm glad that Pam, though, wasn't caught. Like, I felt like she was getting caught a lot this season more than usual. I just feel like Pam's smarter than that. And this time I was like, okay, good. This is the Pam that I know and love.
She also was in a vulnerable area, though, because she was seeing Eric and is so much new territory for her. Seeing somebody that she loves being sick, and
she was more emotional. She probably wasn't on her game. But
on her fighting game.
It was still hard for me to watch her this season because I was like, wait, no, you're awesome.
Why is Pam always in chains? She's like, I'm really getting sick of the silver jewelry. Come on.
But wouldn't you say it is exactly how the whole series is played out? Russell Edgington, Warlow, all the big bads die quickly. Unexpectedly. They do. You're like, all season you've been planning to get rid of this guy, then when they dispose him, it's like a flip of a coin, like a turn of like a screw. Boom. My analogies didn't work, but anyway, you know what I mean.
No, but again, we have a lot that we're trying to put in such a short amount of time. Right? We had the countdown clock going with this episode, and so much had to be done. And...
See, I understand. I agree that it went quickly, but I'm glad that it came as early as it did because I was like, okay, yes, we did lose a bad guy in the finale. Like, it happened, less than a third of the way through. If they had dragged that out longer, I would have been like, no, get back to the Sookie Bill stuff. Like, this matters so much more. Right. It's like, I knew we needed to have it. We need to have it early. I was like, okay, you're dead. Okay.
Well, it would have messed with the emotion that you that you're supposed to have when Jessica and Hoyt get married, and then Sookie with Bill and everything like that, to throw in that death scene. So you kind of had to get that over with so you could get to that emotion and not break it up.
I almost think that it wasn't even really about Mr. Gus. Obviously, okay, first off, why weren't there guards downstairs in the basement at Fantasia?
Exactly.
Why did they leave
Only
Eric
Tiny
and
Grant.
Carol alone with Sarah?
But I think the most important part of that whole thing was the return of, pardon
Pam
my
and
French,
Eric?
no, badass Eric Northman. Getting in the Yakuza, killing all the guys, getting in their little
car scene.
Yes.
That was
so good.
The whole little dance, the bob and head thing.
I didn't get
was
to
like,
see that in person, but so many people were saying that he would like bust the craziest moves while taking that, and they were like, okay, really, we can't like have you being super crazy with the dance moves because people wouldn't believe it, but they were just saying that it was hilarious.
Oh my god!
Because he was in the
it.
car like
I loved it, and I loved how long that they let it sit there.
It was so
like, I
great.
liked that it wasn't just like one head bob. It was like one head bob,
was.
pause, one head
Another
bob,
one.
pause, one head. Like, I was like, yes, I could watch this for far too long.
And the fascinating part on top of it all was that he didn't interact with Sookie. He just saved her. He rescued her in a sense. You know, she was like, what's that commotion about? Eric took care of business and just went off into the sunset or the New York Stock Exchange. But we'll get into that later.
Well, when he left her alone, I mean, he really promised and left her alone. I mean, we haven't seen him really interact with her that much in a couple of seasons where they're intertwined, at least in storylines, too much. I mean, they saw each other earlier this season, but it still didn't feel like their connection wasn't there.
Maybe it's too much Bachelor that I watch. Does he still love Sookie? I'll let you know.
He still cares about
Yes.
Sookie. We
Yeah,
learned that.
definitely.
Right.
They've
So
talked
does.
about this season where he's like, you're one of basically the only human I care about.
Yeah.
But I think he just recognizes that she had true love with Bill, and there's a point where you have to be like, oh, like I'm just like, if you're gonna choose a vampire, he's the vampire you're choosing.
Right.
Yeah,
And it
he
would've
doesn't
been-
want to be second place.
And it would have been
either.
too much if he did, if he came
Yeah.
in after and swooped in. I would be like, okay, no.
No,
You can't
yeah,
have anything with
that
him.
wouldn't work.
It
That
wouldn't.
would not
You couldn't
work. The
have
whole
him be
point of
with
the
her.
leaving was so she could have like kids and a family.
Exactly.
He even told Bill that, like, hey, that's part of the reason I left, and then she's with you, and then she's with a werewolf. I mean, he was trying to give her that.
Kids.
Well, but earlier on, just to stay away from all the supernaturals in general, to give her a normal life.
Well, speaking of true love, let us get into Hoyt, Jessica. Arriving new.
Scott looks really thrilled about this
Surprise!
Scott, take this away. Okay, well, what are your thoughts? Are you having a
Okay, well, and this is going to sound horrible, but I will say, full disclosure, I'm gay, so I get the whole, when they had the whole discussion about the vampire, the whole it's not legal thing. For part of me, I'm like, okay, well, I feel better now because it's sort of not completely real, because I would have been, I think, even more upset if it was like we're getting married at this point after like just getting back together the night before, and it was all kind of for Bill, and they're rushing it, and because now I want them to do a follow-up when it's legal in all 50 states for vampires and humans to be married, and then I let them have this great amazing wedding. So it was kind of bad of me, but I did think of them like, oh well, okay, well, it makes me feel a little better they're rushing this wedding because it's more for show for Bill. Okay. But I felt like it was way too crazy. Like,
but wait, they said there was a line in there. You can fall in love in an instant.
I know, but I don't.
I guess it's like weird because
like it.
I feel like I've kind of seen things like this happen in real life,
Right.
where it does happen for like loved ones or I don't know, circumstances that do push people to get married a little more quickly, whether it be like losing loved ones, whether it be like people
Absolutely.
going about for like war or whatnot. Like it happens. Like it's not so far stretched to me that like people do get married right away if they feel like it's real and it's going to last, and they have this other circumstance that's like pressing in on them, and I don't know. So yeah, it's forced, but these things, it's also true, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I could.
Like,
I
they're in
yeah,
a
it just
crazy
didn't,
world.
I guess because the way it came across, it didn't feel that way. And then, in the last episode, Bill had released her, and it just felt like more like, okay, let her have that time to have those times with Hoyt before they felt like they had to like rush this through. And I get again because of his health and everything, but it didn't feel real to me.
So you weren't down with the shotgun wedding?
No.
Okay.
It just didn't feel real. I get it, and I can
Okay.
understand
Okay.
circumstances like
Did
you're
you
saying,
at
it
least
just
like
didn't
the
feel-
pregnancy line?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
And I like the baby
Holly and
baby-
Arlene were so cute.
Yeah.
Yes.
They were the comic relief and
the baby fangs.
My biggest question is
breastfeeding. Yeah.
who wasn't at the wedding, and I had a little trouble with that. You. Yes, Adilyn.
A lot of people weren't there.
Where was I?
I know.
What were you doing?
Your dad was there.
I was like off frolicking with Wade.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. What are you up to?
We're still together.
Okay.
The only
It's
thing
been like 4
I think
years.
so.
Yeah.
The only thing I could think of was maybe it because that's the room that your sisters died in. Maybe you were like, maybe I'll pass to go and remember that. That was my only idea with it, because I think otherwise, like, you and Jessica seem to be, your character
Right.
seems
Yeah,
to be
we
buddies.
definitely.
No. Yeah.
There were no like younger.
That's the only thing I
The
think
kids
of.
were nobody else was there. It was just the
That's
small.
It is a little
exactly what the
weird.
writers were thinking.
Yeah,
Kristin,
it
good
was
catch.
very small. Yeah.
But yeah, is that the reason?
That was the only thing
Right.
I could think of.
It
All right.
didn't really make sense.
No?
No.
Okay. All right. Guys,
I'm
we'll have
still
some-
surprised. I mean, I guess maybe because they didn't know when Bill was gonna die, but when it was during the daytime,
Right,
I'm
me
like,
too. Why rush it during the
half of
day?
the guests are vampires.
Can you wait till
like,
sunset at least?
The bride is a vampire.
It was rushed.
Yeah.
I know, right? That was part of the other reason.
I
It's
was
the middle of
so
the day.
nervous for her dress because she was starting to get the bleeds, and I
Yeah.
was just
Oh
like,
no, it's white.
She's gonna stay in the dress.
exactly.
No, and did you guys notice that Bill was a little more flush this episode? Look at the
I
color of his
noticed. I
skin.
noticed his veins moved up. I felt like throughout the episode at one point it felt like it. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah.
But, like
Yeah.
at one point they were lower, and then by the end it was like up his neck and up the back of the neck.
Well, because Jessica even said you're warm, right? It was Jessica that
Right.
said that.
So that's why when I was like, oh my gosh, he's so turning human. He's so turning human.
Yeah, I did. That's
Well-
part of what I was thinking too.
One of my favorite moments of this whole episode was actually when during the wedding we got to hear Bill's thoughts, or when Sookie got to hear
Yes.
Bill's
How
thoughts.
amazing was that?
That was cool.
Because it's never happened
It was
before.
such a like just good small moment that I feel like was really fulfilling for like people who have watched like every season and stuck with it, because that meant so much in the beginning, and that they could turn it at the very end and then it mean even more, because like at first it was like this thing that brought them together, and you would think if they interjected that somewhere in the middle it would kind of pull them apart, and that
Yeah.
it would bring them even closer together. In the last episode I thought was beautiful. Like that they could just take such a simple like plot device and like turn it into like a moment that she could like keep and hold on to and remember. I was blown away by that. Was not expecting it. I thought
Right.
they did really well.
I did too, because what was going on. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god, she's hearing his thoughts and everything. Like, this is great. But the other, I will say, the one good thing about the wedding is that I thought it was a good device to be able to have that moment between her and between Sookie and Bill. And also, I thought, in a way, I was like, are they going to now? Is there going to be double wedding? Are they going to let Andy finally get married to Holly? Or is this going to make her rethink, killing Bill and giving him the true death? So I thought the wedding was sort of a device to set him up towards the end, which ended up not being either of those things. But
Yeah, and kudos to Anna Paquin in that scene. Just the truth in her eyes. That's what I captured the most from the whole thing. Absolutely, just almost. I wonder if she was even picturing herself.
Her reactions, like
With
being
Steven.
that like those lines weren't actually there.
Yeah,
So good.
there was just so much truth in it. And it's something I've always loved about with Nelson Ellis, that I always
Right.
see his performance in his eyes, and I saw it, and one of my favorite moments of the whole series for Anna, that moment, that nonverbal communication, that nonverbal acting, that Ryan is so good at, those little nuances, those little things that they do, and she had that moment, and it's one of my. I'm sorry.
Actually,
Sorry, I
yeah,
just-
I have
I'm
a question
emotional here.
about that for Bailey. When they do the scenes, because you've done a few where you are talking telepathically to people, do you just do a long pause and say the lines in your head, or does somebody read them off, or do
Somebody
you record
will
them
normally
ahead?
read them off camera. For
Oh,
us.
okay.
Yeah.
So it gives you enough of a pause.
enough time
so-
to actually react and hear it and take it in, and yeah.
Because I was like, how would you, I was like just shocked, but I was like,
No, we can read each other's minds.
Oh.
It's like part of being hired.
so that's why you were cast.
right.
Yeah.
That's how you beat out the other girls. They were like, wait,
Really?
this one really is Faye.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I failed to mention throughout the whole wedding planning, the return of Grandma Stackhouse. No, Grandma
I
Stackhouse.
know. I
Oh.
love that.
That was cute.
cute.
So much nostalgia, so many moments
Yeah.
that we have to watch it again. I mean, we haven't even gotten into.
Although she put too much pressure on Tara.
I
I
know.
was like, the poor, like, come on, calm down. Like, this is such a serious discussion. I'm like, they're kids.
I thought it was sad too
It was
because it's
cute
like
for
because
us.
Tara's not there anymore to
Yeah.
push her to do it. So then I
Yeah.
was like,
Doubly
Rand's
sad.
dead, Tara's dead,
Yeah.
Sookie's alone.
Sookie's about to give up
alone.
Bill. She's
Yeah.
about to give up her light.
It's
Like,
like,
how many
ah.
things can you get rid of?
I know, but I
She
love
shouldn't have
having
gotten
that.
rid of Eric because at least he was around.
He's not going anywhere. But yeah, I love that moment. I just was like, gosh, she's putting a lot of pressure.
You
A
know,
lot of pressure on Tara and everybody.
and speaking about the episode
okay,
itself, you know, we had the little nods, we had the cameos, which we'll keep getting into, but we also had the final. What made the show so special were these moments, like let's say the moments with Jason and Sookie, where they just have that
Yeah.
brother and sister bonding moment where, yes, and
When she was like, I love you too.
Yeah.
asking for
cute.
advice, not really, because
Yeah.
it's Jason. Staying true to character, just they covered all their bases. Is there anything that they might have missed? Is there anything we might have missed? Except for Adilyn being at the wedding. That's the only
Yes.
thing so far.
Apparently it
I'm
was
going
like-
to bat for you on this one.
I know.
Thank you.
No,
We'll have to
Sarah?
get into it then. No, it was a good choice. I just am like the most curious person in the world, and I really wanted to see Sookie's husband's face.
I did too.
Yeah.
I know. But that was at the end.
I was
though.
Although
waiting.
he
we're
kind
waiting.
of had an
Yeah.
Alcide
He did.
look.
He had the beard
I
and
don't
the
think he
dark
looked like
hair.
Joe Manganiello.
No.
I don't think. But like, yeah, he had the darker hair. He had a dark beard.
Mm-hmm.
And then we saw her driving around his truck. So I think maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. I just wanted
That's
the
for
family
That's for
shot.
the movie. That's for
I know it's
the
bad,
update when
and it wasn't like
special.
Oh yeah, Bailey, you got to see the husband.
I did. But
who is he?
Hold on.
Easy.
Let's wait. Let's let
Oh,
this stew.
sorry.
Bailey, before we opened the show, we had a discussion, and we said, you and I did.
Right.
And
Oh, yeah, we
yes,
did.
because you couldn't have in the past you couldn't reveal any spoilers, right?
no, I
But
know now it's all out there.
Yes.
Right. So I'm going to ask respectfully, who was that gentleman at the dinner table? Can you say?
I forget his name, but he was very handsome.
You forget his name.
She's good.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking
Come on.
I was even thinking it was like a Wes Bentley type.
Yeah.
That's with a beard, and that's
Yeah.
what,
Do you know if they played with showing his face or
No,
not?
they didn't.
Okay.
It
So
just
they-
was.
No, I think that was brilliant. That's what I was because when they first showed her pregnant, I was like, they're not going to show the guy, which is how they needed to leave it for us. Is
Right.
not showing that guy.
So-
Somebody,
I love
yeah,
that.
somebody tweeted me about her being pregnant while we were watching the show, and it was still at the beginning, and I kept thinking like, wait, it was what is it Bill's baby? Because like,
Because he's more
is he
human
more
now.
human, or was it Alcide's? Because it wasn't that long ago that he died. So like the
exactly.
whole show, I'm watching, I'm like, who's the father? Like, what can this be? When's she gonna start showing? And then they did the 4 years.
you turned
ahead.
this into Maury.
I know, right?
The father.
Now we need
my,
a DNA
could
test
you imagine
to
them
see.
on Maury?
Oh my gosh. Oh, that would be dramatic.
Before we go off the rails, guys, I want to send this question out to AfterBuzz TV. Everyone watching us on YouTube, if you're watching us live, hello. But guys, I want a question. Answer this question. Who is that guy having dinner with Sookie? Is it a werewolf? Is it a human? Who is it? I thought it might even be Sam.
No.
Because of
He can't be Sam.
I can't spoil. I can't.
It
okay.
can't be Sam. He's there with Nicole.
Well, I know why you
Right.
think that, but
You know why I'm thinking that.
Why are you? What did you?
Wait, okay, everybody earmuffs for 1 minute on the clock. Let's
Ready?
go. It's 28:06. Go.
Okay, the reason why, because in the books,
Right.
she ends with Sam.
But that's not giving anything away, really. I mean, because if people haven't read the books, it's out there. And
Okay,
that's,
but
yeah.
well,
that's
some
what happened in the
people,
books.
have not read the books, and
I haven't either, but I mean,
And in episode 1 of season 1, at Merlot, okay, ready for this? As Sookie's walking into Sam's office, there's a painting. And there's a painting of a beautiful little blonde girl, which looks just like Sookie, and the dog that protects her.
Right, right.
And so I always thought that in the end, just bookends, it would end with Sam. That's all I got.
But it didn't.
Okay, all right, a guy could dream.
So you're wrong.
All right, anyway, so we
You
finished.
still
You
got
were
20
wrong
seconds
twice.
on this if
yes,
you want
but
to
sort of like you,
continue.
the saying, like her being back at Merlot's or Bellefleur's at the end in her uniform and back being, like I could have seen that too very easily.
Yeah.
Well, Sam is such a good guy. I think we all kind of had a little bit of hope that they would be together.
Yes.
Yeah, I did, at least throughout the series.
Right, because you read some of the books too, right?
I read the first book.
Okay.
That's it. But I watched the entire series, so yeah.
You hardlined it. You went through like a binge, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was like, I gotta know.
Awesome. So, well, now we've covered the wedding. So,
The very awkward wedding.
Yes. Oh, yes, and that's true too. It was so awkward for everybody
Okay.
involved.
how was it awkward?
It was.
Sarah, you said it perfectly.
I don't know.
well
I
there.
think Arlene was having fun.
Well, she'll have fun anyway.
Arlene's having a
Arlene?
great
If
time.
you're having a party, you gotta invite.
Right.
invite
Arlene's who you
Arlene.
invite.
It was the most like resolved, awkward situation wedding that there could have been.
What?
Like, no, just the setup. If you like describe who's going to this event, of like all the exes, all the people who are sleeping with each other, all the people who are about to die, and we're gonna go have a wedding. Like, brilliant.
It's Bon
It's
Tom's.
really awkward.
Sounds like an AFTERBUZZ
At least
Christmas
Bridget
party.
wasn't
Yeah.
there.
It's true.
Which could have been, like, oh, let me walk you down the aisle. It's like, it's so strange. I understand that it played off and they didn't feel awkward and it caused resolution and now we're going to be all happy. But going into that situation, if I was a guest at that wedding, I would be like,
I'm just
I'm
glad
not going in there.
Bridget didn't go
Everyone's
as Jason's
dying
date, though.
or
Oh, yeah.
sleeping with each other.
I also think that everybody's just trying to find a bit of normal
Yeah.
in that
right.
world too. So maybe that's their normal.
Yeah,
trying
Right,
to be
right.
normal.
That's true. Like you're saying, like when they had the party earlier in the year, when they made that pivot in the season, and that's true. It's the way of gathering people together and having a little bit of normalcy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was still
pretend
crazy.
till it's
and pretend
true.
like it's exactly pretend like
Exactly.
everything's okay, even though everyone just broke up 2 hours ago. And by the way, they need to get some new phones. No more flip phones for them when they do the special.
Yeah.
Everyone calling on their flip phones was pretty funny.
Well, it was from a few years ago. Remember?
It is.
It takes place in
No.
like 20.
It did-
That's
No,
not
they caught up.
2011.
I thought they
No,
caught
we're
up.
still a few years behind.
Yeah, we're still like in
They're
2011.
caught up.
I
They're.
thought they caught up.
I feel like they're ahead though, where they actually ended because it's 4
Right, 'cause
years,
they
and I
did
think
4
it
years
was
ahead.
2011 when she was reading that diary. That wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
So it's actually like what 2015
It's
Yes.
because it was 4 years plus
Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
It's Bomb Tom.
Oh,
Plus
right,
a
for
year.
Thanksgiving.
Oh wait, plus
Yeah.
there was the year, right? It was the year and then 3 years. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
so
guess it was 4
4.
years. Yeah.
It's
Now
Bomb
with you.
Tom. I'm trying to help
It's on Bon Tom
everyone.
time.
All right. So let's get to the final night.
True death.
True death. So what were your feelings going into? And you knew. I mean, you read the script. I mean, just watching, getting to see it in your very own eyes. I mean, you've been with these people for the last 2 seasons. So, what goes through your head is: are you a fan? Are you these are my peers? What is it? A little bit of both? What do you see?
Oh, it's totally both. When I was sitting there at the final table read, I didn't have any lines, but I went anyway because I wanted to be there and experience it with everybody. And there were so many tears, and it was such a big metaphor for the show coming to an end. Like, Bill's dying, the show's coming to an end, and it just was like really real for all of us.
Did you know? I mean, as you turned the page, were you? Because somehow I thought he was going to survive. I don't know when did you realize? Did you read that that the stake goes through his heart? Did you read that and you're like, oh, it's done?
Oh yeah. When any main character dies, I was like, oh my gosh. You know, it's
Did you think that was going to happen? Did you think that's how it was going to end?
Yes. Great question, Sarah.
yeah. I kind of thought that Bill and Sookie would end up together.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of us thought the
or
same
maybe
thing.
I wanted them to end up
Right.
together.
You wanted it to be happy.
But at least we got to know that their love was real.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's enough for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. And I feel after watching that now that it sort of had to happen to be able to have the series end without leaving it like, oh, okay, now they're just happily ever after. Like it was
Yeah.
a way to have that finalization that this is the end of the series.
Exactly.
So I think
Yeah.
it did work out in the end. Although I was up going back and forth, probably you guys were too the whole time. Like, okay, when she was going to use her power, then does that mean he's not going to die now? Like right up to the end there, I wasn't even sure that she was actually going to go through with it and they were going to
Yeah.
do it.
She was getting in that coffin, like,
Yeah.
and with the stake.
Steak.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Build up to that. I like felt so. I didn't know what to do, so I started laughing.
I did too, because I was like, oh, it's like she's straddling him, and she's got the steak.
Exactly.
It's
That's
true,
right.
and
It's
you're
true
True
like
Blood, you're
juvenile.
like, well, it is True Blood, and nobody
Right.
had sex this episode
Yeah.
on screen. So I was like, was this like a final goodbye?
Yeah.
I mean, we know Jason hooked up with Bridget in the car ride because they had a kid that was for sure 4 years old.
Oh, yeah, for
Exactly.
Right? He's like, oh, approval from Sookie.
Yeah, that's okay.
Bridget.
No, but once again, the biggest part of the episode was the fact that she did not use her fireball. I thought that she was going to end up shooting that fireball midway through the season, and the fact that it finally showed, because Sookie was always in danger, always relying, I think it was 5 or 6 where she was one, she was the one that was kind of, in a sense, manning up, not always in distress, but the fact that she just stood up and said, "This is who I am."
She owned it.
You cannot take it away. Right. And we always talk about the social stances that this show makes. And I know throughout there's a reason why that's there, and I'm so grateful. I was scared. I was scared that she was gonna let go of that fireball, and that was my favorite part, that she stayed true to herself.
I agree.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you, writers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Agree. She had to do that. She had to. Yeah.
Well, and I think it was almost better that she staked him too, because it made them closer. It physically, and it was more intimate as well.
It was. I loved both of their hands on the stake. That was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was still waiting for someone to come. I didn't know.
I did too. I was like, is Eric going to swoop in?
Yes,
Is somebody going to come in
Eric.
inconveniently, like at the end with Sarah?
Yeah, he tricks her with here's some blood. You're okay now.
Triggered me to living. Oh, that'd be awful. Because he clearly really wanted to be with his family and his life before.
Like Hoyt's blood's not Hoyt's. Sarah's. It's
All right, so any final thoughts before we move into the biggest turn of all? Eric becoming Billy Mays. Billy Mays here. You ever got that late night infomercial guy about new blood? I did not see.
I just thought it was hilarious.
I thought it was funny too.
It was great, and it was again what we needed after that
It was
really
a
intense
light
moment.
note.
Right,
And
we
as she
needed
was
that.
walking away, and you just thought like they could fade it to black and start rolling credits, and you were like,
No,
I know. I'm
end
pretty
it
sure
like
I heard
that.
somebody say,
I think that was Sarah.
probably me.
and then I was
That
like,
was
there's
Sarah.
more, there's more.
I was like, no.
Yes.
Like, if I talk to the
Is
TV
this
enough,
it?
it's going to listen to me. Like, I know, make me happy.
No, it was great, and again, because Eric and Pam have offered that comedic lightheartedness for the series, and it was great to have them do it at the end, and it was great to have that little screen up for Charlene there, and you got to see her.
I know. Did
That
you?
was so
I know.
Absolutely.
I was like, I wonder if they know. There she is.
that was great, and so I thought we needed that after such the intense moment that we just had experienced. It was fun.
Yeah, the Eric Pam infomercial stock market stuff, thumbs way up.
Yeah.
The Sarah Newland as a blood bank, weird.
Yeah.
Not as
Poor
thumbs
Sarah,
way
that's-
up.
Yeah, I didn't
It was
like.
4 years hanging
Right,
there.
I didn't like that as
I mean,
much.
I have to say though, Anna Camp looked fabulous
For 4
Yeah.
years,
Oh, yeah.
hanging in a dark
at least
dungeon.
Pam made her look good.
Yeah.
I know. She's got a
kept
cute
her
dress
up.
on.
Because you're like, she's not in the sun for her, like as a human. Like, how awful would that be?
Yeah.
You're just
So
sitting
this
there
was
in the-
too harsh of an ending for Sarah Newland? What are your thoughts? Bailey, as a
Well,
fan, what do you
for the
think?
show.
She gets to spend it with Steve Newland, and he's pretty hilarious. So that's even though she's going crazy, I think that would be a plus.
She just needs to look on the bright side. It's not all bad.
I know.
No, because Anna Camp said herself that she pretty much got what she deserved. I mean, think about it, the way that, to the end, her resourcefulness with Pam. See, I can be a lesbian.
I know, that was great.
Oh,
That
she
was
was always
funny.
trying to manipulate.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Pam again with her line, I would go down to you for $1 billion. Or no, for you to go down on me for $1 billion, but
She made her own
no,
billion.
not
anyway.
enough money.
Not enough money in the world. That was great.
Yeah, so we do we agree with Sarah got what she deserved, and you guys thought it was too?
I'm not
too
saying
harsh?
that. I'm not saying that she
No.
didn't get what she deserved. It was like kind of just one of those things that was a little bit hard to watch.
Right,
It was
yeah.
just like I was like,
I agree with that.
I just didn't
Like,
like
I'm
it
not saying
where
that-
it was in the show. I
Yeah.
didn't really, because it did feel, I don't know, after we had that lighthearted moment, then we're going to have her get her
And it was a little
punishments,
long.
And it was a little, exactly, and it just didn't feel like it fit in with the rest of how we were going with the show.
So do you think? Do you think everyone, the writers were expecting that everyone was going to say, yeah, that's what she deserved?
yeah, I think.
But it just.
I
you
think
guys-
because Anna played it so well, even though she's a terrible human being, you still kind of like her. So
Yeah.
you're like, yes, wait. No, but
Yeah.
it was a
I
catch-22.
think
I think that's the reason
that's-
they made her back blonde, because I feel like you did start to feel a little bit bad for her as Numi and didn't connect with
Yeah.
her. So I think they were trying to remind you, hey, remember what she did,
Right, and calling her
back
Sarah
then.
again too. They just kept referring to her as Sarah and making sure she wasn't calling herself Numi, and so they were, I think, trying to make it.
You hit it spot on for me.
Yeah.
I think it's because I like her,
Yeah.
and I'm like, so I'm kind of a little bit on her team as much as like I hate Sarah Newland. Part of me was like, Oh, that really sucks.
It didn't fit. It just where it was going down. I think she deserved something, but it just didn't. Kind of just felt disjointed with the rest of what was going on.
But there's so much torture in True Blood anyway. That's what it's about too.
Yeah,
so
right.
I mean, how many times have we seen torture in Fantasia over all the seasons? I mean, this is a perfect end. Yes, the young lady. Yes, right here.
You got tortured a little bit.
Yeah.
By his... We're comfortable.
Oh, we're gonna get into that one because
yeah.
we're gonna start off with of course the final supper, the final dinner. I mean, and we see everyone and. Your dad, can we get into that? You know, he ended up sending you a little message after the filming about your line here at the end of...
Oh, yeah, my dad.
Yeah.
I was like, which dad? My TV dad or my
TV
real
dad?
dad?
I was too.
Yeah, my dad, my real dad, texted me after the show, and he was like, how did you memorize all your lines?
We're like, it was really
I was
hard.
like, oh, Dad, yeah, it was rough.
Well, Bailey's father, we have to also preface that because... You went through a lot this season. I mean, come on. You were tortured and they were going to do the breast ripper. Sorry if we can say that on the show. And
Awful.
That's what it was called.
Yeah.
Awful.
Can we talk about that scene? Because I know that was probably, that was about to be the silliest question I was ever going to ask. Was that a stretch? No, I mean, how long, tell us about shooting that whole scene for you.
Oh, it was really cool when I first walked into that environment of like torture devices and sex toys and all that stuff. I was like, for a second I thought I was going to get away without doing anything crazy this season. And then I saw that and I was like, nope. But
that was like your official initiation.
Yeah. And we always joke. We're always like, we're gonna go to our next jobs and be like, where are all the weird props? Like, where are all the crazy things?
Well, that's actually a great springboard. I know we usually talk about our final thoughts, but I think this is a perfect segue to talk about what's going on in your world and the fact that you said, where do you go from here? I mean, because you're in the world of the supernatural and the True Blood. Do you see yourself? Do you want to do something? Maybe do a 180? Something completely different for? Are you open? I mean, because True Blood is it's a certain peg. Do you want people to see maybe your comedic chops or your action star chops, things like that, where we get to see other sides of Bailey?
Oh yeah, of course. I want to do it all. Yeah, and it was so fun living in the magical world. But of course, I want to do more things. And if I get to live in a magical world again, that would be awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then,
do you have a favorite genre to watch or be a fan of? Like movie-wise, TV-wise? Like
romantic comedies.
The rom-com.
Oh, yeah.
I follow you on Twitter, and you tweeted you were filming something kind of like in a really beautiful location.
Yeah.
Can you talk about any of that?
Yeah. It's an indie film called Still Life. And there's 8 main cast members, and we're all... just graduated high school, and it was our last night of summer before going off to college, and it's just kind of like a moment in time and coming of age and transition and changes and kind of what we all went through in high school. And yeah, it's funny and it's
your smile is so big right now. I'm like, I want to watch this. She seems so happy.
Yeah, and the director Ryan Swartz this is his first this is his project that just kind of cosmically came about, so he's so excited about it and everybody on the set is so excited about it, and I read the script and fell in love with it, and then when I got offered the part I was like, yes, absolutely. I just have really high hopes for it.
That's awesome.
And also, as we say goodbye to this character that you played for the last 2 seasons, what are some things that I always ask this, how is Adilyn similar to you and how is she different from you?
Oh,
go ahead.
I would say, she is a real person. The other one's a fairy who's technically 3 years old. And I don't know. Do you fall in love with your stepbrothers? There's
no stepbrothers.
You know what I mean?
Both seem like really nice people. I mean, you're nice here. Adilyn's nice. I mean, it's just friendly and kind of. I think that's you probably connect with that.
And I would add, what was your inspiration for that character? Was there any inspiration? How did you tap into that character?
Because she played. How old was she? I mean, how?
She's 18.
Okay.
Because I wasn't sure she'd aged anymore. Because it was, how she'd aged so fast and then had stopped.
It wasn't written that she had aged more, but
yeah, that's just how you played it, and you guys.
Yeah, I think because she experienced so much, she matured quickly. But yeah, I think I said on your show. I think I said that I really love how excited she is about life, and I try to be like that as well.
And one of the things I got out of that interview was the fact that you know, the dream kiss on the show would be Ryan Quanten. But then again,
She squeezed that out of me. I mean, of course.
I love it.
Like, she was like, "No, you have to. And I was like, "Well, okay."
I think most
We
of us
can't
in the team
blame
would
you.
agree. See?
It would
We'd
be
all agree.
Ryan or Alex. I
Yeah,
mean,
right. Like, or both.
I was wondering,
the same time.
what was your favorite and least favorite scenes to shoot? Like, was there anything that was like, it was just, we hear all the time about you guys shooting in the middle of the night
Yeah.
and it being freezing. Like,
It is. It's freezing, but I can't say I've ever not enjoyed shooting. I've really enjoyed everything because everything has been so different, and I've learned so much from everything that I've shot working on the show. And even when it's freezing cold at night, I'm spending time with really cool people, and you know, even in the middle of the night, you get delirious and you get the giggles, so that makes it kind of fun. Yeah.
you forget all the bad, you know, weather effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the lack of sleep and everything else doesn't matter.
And then you go home and you get warm and you're like, that was worth it.
Yeah.
You
Love
know,
it.
and you've been put through the coals a little bit, you know, by we ask you these questions, but I'm going to ask you something fun.
Okay.
Okay, what are 5 things that superfans would not know about Bailey Noble?
Well, 5.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
And I'll make it really okay. How about 3? And we'll give you
No, I like the 5. Go
You
back
want
to
5?
the
Okay.
facts.
4, and we'll give you 30 seconds. Just anything.
Oh my gosh, this music.
So mean.
This
Phil.
music. Okay,
Come on,
I used to
Phil.
watch Jeopardy with my great grandmother growing up.
1.
That's one. I
Strawberry, vanilla, or chocolate?
chocolate.
Okay, that's 2.
or like, can I ask a question I ask on my Spotlight on? I always ask somebody, like, what are you obsessed with? Like, if we could talk about anything, like if you just ran into a friend, like, what would you talk about with them right now?
Oh, I hate these questions.
Oh, I've got one
Somebody
last
said, like,
one.
juices. Somebody had made, like,
Hobbies.
furniture.
Yeah, hobbies.
What's, like, the
things you're
latest thing
interested
you
in.
did that you were like, that was awesome?
Okay, well, I haven't done it in a while, but my girlfriends and I will vision board sometimes.
What is that?
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's so fun. You like,
like-
you can print pictures offline or flip through magazines and find words and phrases that you like, and then you like paste it onto a vision board, and it's kind of like the way you want to see your life or where you want to head in the future. And so I've got an entire wall of vision boards in my house.
See, it's a perfect segue because my final question was going to be, play a little game. Go flash forward 50 years in your life. Mm-hmm. What do you see?
I see me still working, hopefully.
Okay, it's like the dream board. Like, what do you
Yeah.
see? You know, what does Bailey Noble see?
Well,
Meryl Streep working with her, those types of.
yes, of course, yeah. Well, besides acting, another big dream of mine is just to have a family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's perfect.
It's like
If you could
Sookie.
crash any TV series, what would you want to be on right now?
Game of Thrones. Yeah. They don't really cast here, which is sad, but I want to live in that world.
That's where, like, you should have gone down to Comic-Con and be like, so George,
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
let's have a little talk.
All right. So, but thank you so much for joining
Yes,
us.
thank you so
Actually,
much.
giving us that
Thank you for
insider
having me
perspective.
here.
I'm here for the
And did you ever
Series
wear the
finale.
toad?
Oh no, I never wore the toad. I'm so upset about it.
All right.
Do we know who ended up getting it? That was, I think, nobody knew who ended up taking the toad back with them.
I don't know.
Who has the toad?
You have
You
to
know,
Where
I
is it?
find out.
Actually, I think it was one of our stand-ins, Lenny. I'm not sure if he has the actual toad, but he got like a toad trophy for getting like the most toads.
Those toads. Okay. All right. Before we move to final thoughts, well, actually, before we move into no predictions,
Right.
final thoughts. Okay. Before we get into that, what was your favorite True Blood moment? And I'll even Bailey. You know, what is your all-time?
From Forever?
Forever?
Yes.
Oh, God.
No, that's not fair.
Yeah, that isn't.
I'll start.
I was thinking about
I know
it
how you
for a
feel
while,
now
too.
with the rapid
I know.
fire
I
question.
know,
it's
now
hard,
I'm in
right?
the same place. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Kristen, do you want to
Give
start?
us.
I was thinking about this. I mean, there's so many, honestly, to choose from. I think one of my favorite moments, if we're just talking like emotional and fun, was the first time Eric Kasuki where they're at Fantasia. I think it was. I think the episode title was like, "I Smell a Rat" or something like that, right? I think it was. Where he's like, my biggest regret is if I had never kissed you, Sookie Stackhouse, and then they kiss, and then she didn't want it, but then like you saw her be like, all right.
Okay.
Then she brought, and I think just as a fan. I talked about this. I said briefly that I was kind of disappointed what they ended up doing with Eric, because he kind of just ended back up at Fantasia sitting on the throne. And as a fan, I always wish they would have explored the Eric and Sookie romance more. I think in season 4 they missed an opportunity to really make that something, so later on it would be harder for them not to be together.
That's funny, because my favorite moment's going to go back to Eric too, where I don't know why, but what came to mind was the whole Eric becoming a nice guy and forgetting his memory section. Really liked that. Also, like, it's so hard knowing down, because I feel like I'm like a visual person. I just think, and I'm like, I'm getting all this like Lala stuff, like down to like first episode where he's like, what, the hamburger that he throws back, or the cheeseburger that he throws back at the customer, like just classic moments.
The hamburger with AIDS, right? That moment,
yeah.
I love when he took on so many different characters throughout the series.
So good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say my favorites were especially the first beginning. Like, I really love the first 3 or 4 because there was a couple seasons there again that I felt like they kind of went off the rails a little bit from their original vision of what the show was. But yeah, I would say anything with Eric in it, and Pam, and Lala, because they added that comedic lightheartedness and brilliant acting, and it kind of brought the fun to it when there were the more serious moments and everything. But I just loved the beginning first couple of seasons so much, because it was just I don't know, it was just, that's where I felt like I really felt like I connected with them and grew with those characters, and then we kind of went back around and got back to those original characters here at the beginning.
You only get one.
No, wait, can I do the funny moment really quick? Okay. Russell Edgington taking the heart out and going, now the weather. Tiffany?
Oh, yes.
Sorry, I have to shout out Russell
That was
Edgington.
great. That was a great
He
one.
was such a good villain.
He was a great villain.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm done.
We'll leave it at that then. So
many good villains. So many things.
Aside from Adilyn and her sisters growing overnight, I'm going to go with...
There's so many things.
It's the one with Billeth, when he becomes Billeth and you see Eric and Sookie, and Eric goes, run! I love that one, but I also loved it was with Talbot and Russell Edgington and Sookie getting the remains of of Talbot and running them in the garbage disposal.
Oh, and her like maniacal laugh.
Oh yes, that
I forgot about that. That was so
painful,
funny.
right?
Yes, but that was great.
For me, I love season 2. For me, is my favorite by far. Favorite seasons before we leave you. Aside from season 6.
No, I can't do that. I can't.
Well, that's why I said 1, 2, and 3.
Aren't your favorite?
Yeah, right. 7, 1, 2, and 3 were. That's why I said those first 3 were definitely my favorites.
Fans, let us know what you think one last time.
The original.
I think 3, because I loved Russell as a villain.
Okay.
There's no way I can answer this question.
I know, it's really tough. Or there's something your favorite moment that's tough too, because I'm like, man, there's 80 episodes.
Well,
how do you go back through all that?
It's not like we get another episode. That's why we leave it all here, guys. So
I'll comment on YouTube, which I do appreciate everyone's comments.
I'm just gonna come back next week and just chill here about myself. So I'm just gonna talk.
Yeah,
we're just gonna talk
it out.
We've talked way too much.
Oh yeah.
So
sorry.
I think this is time to wrap it up. Scott, you have a final thought?
No, I was just gonna say I appreciate everyone's YouTube comments and comments throughout the seasons and everything. It's been wonderful reading each and every one of them, and I'm gonna miss that.
No, and Bailey,
besides being with you guys every week, of course, too.
A big shout out, a big thank you for Bailey Noble joining us tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you again for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, where can fans follow you and just keep up to date with everything you're doing?
Oh yeah, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, Bailey Noble 11.
There we go. So thank you once again, Bailey Noble. So one last time, Scott, where can they find you?
You guys can find me at SMan80 on Twitter. That's SMAN80. And also for the season finale Defiance this Thursday.
Ooh, that's season
Kristin Carole, thank you so much again.
Oh my God, thank you guys for
thank you
having
for
me
being
on.
here.
I had so much fun. You can find me at Kristin Carole 13 on Twitter. I have a few spotlight ons I think I'm going to start doing, but other than that, The Falls, Walking Dead, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for me. So.
Wow,
Awesome.
fantastic.
Good
And Ms.
shows.
Stretton.
Hi guys, you can find me here or at Anatomy of a Movie. You know, I just float around
Around.
these things. Yeah, you'll find me.
And
It's all
once
good.
again, you can find me at JC Rubio TV on Instagram and Twitter. And if you still love weird romance, check me out on The Bachelor in Paradise tomorrow night. So, for Scott, Sarah, Kristin, and Bailey, I'm JC. Good night.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.